What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Hangout, where we help others move in excellence. And a lot has been made about this recent San Fernando Valley indictment, San Fernando Valley Peckerwoods, blah blah blah. And this is kind of two-part. So OG Badger, which I first learned about through Tim Snow, and I know he did a video about him and his contacts and communication with him early on. I'll link to that. You guys should check it out. He was caught up in this indictment. He's not somebody I'm real personally familiar with. I've left comments of support on his channel. I've seen some of his content and I've liked it. I really heard about him first from Tim Snow, actually. And then he had caught a case and had come out and started YouTube again and was getting a lot of support. I remember him being, I think, like in a halfway house or something like that. And yeah, so he's caught up in this. And in this video, I'm going to go through every page he shows up. So I hesitated to do this at first because I wanted to get my hands on the indictment. Now I have the indictment. I've read it all a couple times, actually. It's like 250 something pages. I'm not going to read the whole thing on here, but I wanted to see, because there's a disconnect a lot of times between the substance and the propaganda, right? Fact versus fiction. And Dubs had done a video that I saw, and I'll link to that as well, a couple days ago, where he was like, hey, there's all this talk of this white supremacist hate group operating, but the charges are all dope cases, and so I'm not seeing the furtherance of this racial ethno-state conspiracy. And I agree with him. I agree with Dubs on that too. And so that's sort of the other part, is I'm going to break down the fact versus fiction. And I think it'll give you guys some insight into how the feds sell these indictments, and some of the stuff that they say, and how it's very easy, if they want you to be, it is very easy to all of a sudden become a part of a criminal conspiracy, if you will. So anyway, there's a lot to get into. Let's do it. Badger shows up on like 15 different pages, 20 something different overt acts, but you will see that is misleading. It's really just a few phone calls, Holmes. And so is it criminal activity that's being alleged? Yes. Obviously it's all alleged. These guys are innocent until proven guilty. I have no idea who is doing what, but I'm going to go based off the indictment, which we have right here, and do that. I guess I'll run through the names first for like my truck drivers and folks that are listening and not watching the screen. But then we're going to jump to, we're going to cover the OG Badger stuff first, and then we'll cover the rest of it after. It's important to note there's a few different charges in this. One of them is the racketeering case, right? That people are a part of this organized criminal enterprise. Badger's not charged with that, just to be clear. He's charged with things in this indictment, of course, but not with actually being a part of the gang, if you will. I think it's only like 15, 16, something like that, people that are charged with that. So let's go through these names real quick, test my reading skills, and then we'll get into it. Claire Patricia Haviland, a.k.a. Trish, a.k.a. SFV Mama. Brian Glenn Euclid, a.k.a. Rascal. John Michael Reed, a.k.a. Johnny Boy SFV. I think the feds put a lot of these SFVs on there themselves. I don't know that that's how people necessarily introduce themselves. Maybe. But a lot of this centers around Facebook. So I'm suspecting that some of this is taken from Facebook usernames. Kenneth Criswell, a.k.a. Spinner. Stephen Michael Silverberg, a.k.a. Meat SFV. Donald Everett Cunningham, a.k.a. DJ, a.k.a. Monster. Corey Daniel Sims, a.k.a. Sicko SFV. Brianne Brewer, a.k.a. Bree, a.k.a. Brianne Brewer Gill. Zachary S. Winters, a.k.a. Boogie SFV. Colin Nicholas Slack, a.k.a. Shorty SFV. Robert M. Slayton, a.k.a. Berserker. Somebody that Badger had communicated with a few times. Michael Vitanza, a.k.a. Suspect. John Paul Pitchy, a.k.a. Sinister. Eric Steve Schultz, Jewish dude. Guy Manning Willis, a.k.a. FedEx. Carissa Marie Chottard, a.k.a. Brat. Julianne Romero. Cynthia Van Vilman, a.k.a. Siren. I'm going to guess he has red hair. Paul Eric Atkinson, a.k.a. Porkchop. Ernest Till, a.k.a. Badger, that is OG Badger. Paget Gary Euclid. Scott Joshua Venom. Michael Anthony Chatterton, a.k.a. Reckless. Cody Gene Smith, a.k.a. Cody Gene. Giglilelo. I have no idea. AKA Sifty. I'd call that person Sifty. Christopher Craig. Gabriela Ibarra, aka Gabby. Ashley Nicole Swink. Kevin D. Francis. Richard Kevin Riley. Kenneth Daniel Payer, aka Tower, aka Suge White. That's one of my favorite ones. Kenneth Richard McDonald, aka Misfit SFV, aka Kenny Mac. Adam L. Rodney, William Scott Polly, Christopher Patrick Polly, Daniel Yakub, aka Danny Boy, Tara Jane Beckwith, Julio Abner Gaither, aka Indio, hella white supremacist name, huh? Simon R. Freeman, aka Grumpy, Michael Andrew Moreno, Earl Edson Watts, Elmer Rolando Villatoro, that's my brother's last name, Villatoro, aka Wacky. It ain't every day you meet somebody named Elmer. Albert Ethan Eklund, Kevin Daniel Mulvihill, aka Mo, Ciara Jacobs, aka Simba J, shout out Lion King, Curtis Wattstein, aka Stretch, Robert Anthony Baker, Ryan Scott Harband, Nishant Ramachandran, definitely a neo-Nazi name. Like if you look up neo-Nazi in the dictionary, you're gonna see Nishant Ramachandran for sure. Chase Austin Flack. I'm being sarcastic. You guys will see why. Taylor C. Bingham, a.k.a. Scummy, a.k.a. Scum. It might be too early in the video to cuss. James Allen Thamer, a.k.a. JT, a.k.a. Bigfoot. David Michael Shapiro. John Craig Gluckman. Jeremy Russell Schwartz, a.k.a. Iron Man. Again, Schwartz, very common neo-Nazi white supremacist last name. Justin Daniel Dietzen. Christopher Mark Prevedello, a.k.a. Mouse, a.k.a. Evil. Mason Edward Heinz. Cynthia Marie Munoz. Munoz, another name that you would expect with a bunch of racists, right? A.k.a. Thumper. Hennessy Utzler. You know what her parents were drinking. A.k.a. Hennessy Montoya. Rebecca Anna Benedict, a.k.a. Lazy Egg. Megan Mejia. Walter Hubert Lemert, a.k.a. Creepy. Amanda Joy Raven. Tanya Nuria Resnick, Maria Ann James, a.k.a. Maria Daisy with a Z. Scott Thomas Powers, a.k.a. Also. Come on, man. If you're from the north or the south, and you ain't got a homeboy named Also, I question your neighborhood. Cody San Chan and Joy Ungam. Yeah, Joy. Joy right there with the I. Okay. Count one, right? At all times relevant, just these people, and then unindicted co-conspirators 3, 9, 12, 23, 31, 39, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, and 48. I'll get into that stuff in a minute. Let me get into the Badger stuff. This is crazy though. All right, so let's go. First place that OG Badger shows up, aside from the roll call in the beginning, is right here. Okay, and I'm really trying to make this as easy as possible for everybody involved. So let's look. Overt Act number 128. On January 4th, 2024, defendant Slayton, using coded language in a recorded telephone call, agreed to supply fentanyl to defendant Hill to distribute to drug customers. Okay? And so that's on January 4th. Overt Act number 133. On January 8th, defendant Slayton, using coded language in a recorded telephone call, there you go, told defendant Hill that he had it. I got it, bro. It's on deck to distribute. Let's fast forward. But you're going to notice a couple of dates repeated often. Okay, and I'll connect those dots in a second. But Overt Act 158 on December 17th, 2020, defendant Hill and unindicted co-conspirator 21 used coded language in a Facebook message exchange, ordered fentanyl from defendant Jacobs. So that's the oldest thing having to do with Badger. And it is highly isolated. It's just this random December 17th, 2022 Facebook message that shows this stuff. And I'm going to get into some of the Facebook part and that kind of stuff after I go through OG Badger's, situation. So that's page 59. Now we got to jump all the way to page 95. And where are we at? Overt Act number 440. On March 3rd, 2023, defendant Hill sent this dude Venom $230 via Cash App. There's no context. It doesn't say he sent it to him for drugs. It doesn't say he sent it to him for it. Just he sent another dude who's indicted $230 via Cash App in March of 2023. Again, that's an outlier. That's just sort of sitting there, doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense. It doesn't connect to anything else in the criminal conspiracy. It's a fucking Cash App to somebody else who got indicted. Oh, there's a bag of a little something. Okay, so what do we have here? Back in January. So remember with Overt Act 40, we started out with January. So now we're back talking about January. I'm going to argue we're talking about the same damn phone calls. January 4th, defendant Slayton, using coded language, told defendant Hill that the price of a zip of Fenty was $450 to $500. Separate Overt Act, same day. Hill, using coded language in a recorded telephone call, told Slayton that he wanted to get an ounce from him to sample, and if he was pleased with the quality, that he would be placing an order for additional ones. Okay, 2 Overt Acts, same phone call, and a phone call that was referenced earlier, right? Still on January 4th, Overt Act number 706. Defendant Slayton, using coded language in the call, told Hill that unindicted co-conspirator number 1 had stated no one was authorized to tax Hill's drug distribution activities. That's, he knows how the feds, that's not me making that in bold writing. That's the federal government. So, but again, same phone call. Now, what is it? 3 overt acts connected to that. Okay. Next page. January 8th. So a couple days later, let me get it up where you guys can see it. On January 8th, defendant Hill, using coded language in a text message exchange, a whole bunch of meth from defendant Slayton. Kind of expect better grammar from the federal government when they're indicting, 60 some odd people. Not exactly sure what that means, but I'm going to assume, again, same phone call, definitely same day. Slayton, using coded language, told defendant Hill he had Fetty available, but needed to obtain meth to distribute from a drug source of supply. So remember earlier where it had Overt Act 133, right? Where January 8th, Slayton told Hill that he had Fetty. This is it. Same phone call. So we're up to 2 phone calls, a Cash App, and a Facebook message from years prior. Still on January 8th, Hill, using coded language, requested that defendant Slayton deliver it to him. So it's a phone call. One day, hey, bro, I'm looking for something. Okay, yeah, I can get you something. All right, bet. A couple days later, hey, I got that. All right, cool. I can get that? Yeah, you can get that. Cool. Can you deliver it? Yeah, I can deliver that. Now, we have numerous overt acts in 2 phone calls. So let's go, what's the next one? Page 138. Another little bag of something. January 11th, a couple days later, defendant Slayton, the same person we've been talking to a few times, using coded language in a text message exchange, told Hill that he was obtaining additional stuff from a source of supply. Hey, I'm going to get more stuff. Overt act. That's all it takes. Okay. Another overt act. January 13th, a couple days after that, Slayton, using coded language in a recorded phone call, instructed Hill to charge a customer $100 for a gram. Oh, wait, let me double check this one. Yeah. So he was telling him he was going to re-up. And then on the 13th, he tells him, hey, man, can you charge this dude $100? So you can infer from that. And I'm just going off the public document, of course, the charging document. But you can infer that maybe Hill was around somewhere and somebody was going to pop up. Badger is Hill. And so dude's like, hey, when dude comes by, man, give him this, charge him $100. It's an overt act on a federal criminal conspiracy. But is it a huge deal in the grand scheme of things? It's against the law, but. So now we'll go down here. We got to go a couple pages. February 2024. Defendant Hill, using coded language in a recorded phone call, discussed with a drug customer the shard of meth that was in the meth that defendant Hill had supplied to the customer the previous day. So you sell somebody a bag and they message you, man, that was a big old shard. Boom, overt act, 762. The next day, February 23rd, 2024, that was my birthday. Defendant Hill, using coded language in a recorded phone call, told a customer he was able to supply half a zip of Fetty for $550. Okay. February 27th, a couple days later, Hill, using coded language in a recorded call, told unindicted co-conspirator 20, a lot of communication with him too, and that he had high quality stuff available to distribute. Probably same phone call, February 27th, 2024. Hill, using coded language, told a customer that unindicted co-conspirator 20 would deliver it to him. Oh, okay. So tells number 20 that he's got stuff. Tells somebody else that 20 is going to give it to him. On March 1st, Hill, using coded language, told a customer that he had stuff. Okay. Scroll all the way down. Another overt act. March 6, 2024. Hill agreed to supply half a zip of Fetty. Okay. Couple days later, Hill, using coded language in a recorded phone call, told unindicted co-conspirator number 21. He spoke with number 1, told him that number 21 was not AB secretary material. And he said that so that number 1 would stop calling number 21 as much as he was via his contraband cellular telephone. Contraband cellular telephone tells you that the individual that number 1 was incarcerated. But it says earlier in the indictment that I believe number 1 was housed in a federal prison or something. Something like that. But so that's not even about dope or nothing. But you see how they highlight Secretary AB secretary material. You gotta be careful, man. You gotta be careful, because when the feds are on you, they will take, they'll take everything they can get. March 13th, Hill, using coded language in a call, told 25 that 40, who was one of number 1's top guys, had recently been arrested in connection with drug activity. Same day, told unindicted co-conspirator number 25, so same person, that 1 had huge problems because unindicted co-conspirator 40 had been delivering drugs for unindicted co-conspirator 1 when he disappeared days ago. Probably the same conversation. So again, you have likely the same conversation, but certainly on the same day. And they're grabbing multiple overt acts from one phone call, skip a page and then OG Badger comes up again. March 14th, using coded language, told number 25 that an unindicted co-conspirator was shitting his pants due to recent law enforcement activity and was going to change the telephone number of his contraband cell phone. This is not a high-level, sophisticated criminal gang activity, folks. Right? That's not what this is. This is multiple phone calls across March 13th and March 14th with the same individual. Well, probably at like 2 phone calls. And that's all, really. So that's it. That's the end. 254-page indictment. You have now seen everywhere that OG Badger shows up. Okay? So what does this tell us? For one, I think, let's get into the substance of the indictment a little bit, right? And the trickiness of it. But Badger had a couple phone calls. According to the feds, again, everybody's innocent until proven guilty, right? I have no idea what he was involved in or not involved in or anything else. But it sounds like early 2024, over the course of a couple months, he had a couple phone calls with a couple different individuals around, moving some stuff, and I think about, man, dude's telling him that he's got it for $4.55 a zip. He's not making insane profit margins. He's not getting rich off this stuff. He's middlemaning. That's what it looks like. Looks like OG Badger might be middlemaning a little bit, or at least the feds are accusing him of, to make a couple bucks, and has a couple phone calls. Keep in mind, Badger's done a boatload of time in the California Department of Corrections. You don't do a boatload of time in the California Department of Corrections, active and with the functions and GP and all that stuff the whole time, and not build some relationships, not build some connections, not know some people. And And some of those people are involved in a wide range of activities. I'm sure some of them had businesses and legit jobs and were family men. And some of them, maybe living on the margins of the law a little bit. And some of them with all the shenanigans. Okay. That's true for a lot of us that have done time. That's true for me today. And I've been home from prison almost 20 years, you know? And you can be having conversations with people and trying to help out in ways. Think, I'm gonna help out. Let me middleman a play real quick, make a couple bucks. Or, hey, you know what, man? I could talk to the homie and tell the homie to stop calling you and that kind of stuff. I can do little things that, in the grand scheme of things, aren't really a big deal. Or one, it's easy for one to think that they're not really a big deal. But the feds are watching. And you got to assume the feds are always watching. This is why there was a particular YouTuber, not somebody caught up in this indictment or anything else. But sometime back, an individual reached out to me on a phone call and had a conversation, or attempted to have a conversation with me that was similar to some of the conversations that these individuals, not LG Badger in particular, but that these individuals had. And I hung up and I blocked the number. Like, fool, don't call me, because I don't want to end up in an indictment. And it's easy, to be honest. And I know some of you guys that have never broken the law or never been caught up in other stuff. It's like, yeah, what do you mean it's easy to get caught up? I don't have conversations like this. Okay, but your peer group might be a little bit different than some of us. And I'm not engaged in criminal activity. I don't condone criminal activity. I don't support it. I don't any of that. But you talk to people, and sometimes you talk a little too loosely, or they bring something up and you want to help them out, or you're in a bind, or whatever the case may be. And next thing you know, you're looking at a life sentence in a federal prison, man. It's that easy. It's that easy. And so I want to go through and look at some elements of this massive indictment, because all over the news, all over the TV, it's this massive white supremacist agenda. Okay. So what is the San Fernando Valley Peckerwoods, SFV, according to the federal government, of course? A criminal organization engaged in, among other things, conspiracy to traffic in narcotics trafficking, wire fraud, financial institution fraud, and related activity in connection with identification documents and access devices. Cool, nothing really racist right there. Right? That's all hustle. The SFV, this is where it gets tricky, including its leaders, members, and associates, constituted an enterprise. Right? That's the federal government doesn't call things gang, they call them enterprises. A group of individuals associated in fact that was engaged in, and the activities of which affected interstate and foreign commerce, SFV Enterprise, SFV Criminal Enterprise, SFV Peckerwoods. The enterprise constituted an ongoing organization whose members functioned as a continuing unit for a common purpose of achieving the objectives. Then it goes through to define San Fernando Valley, Signal, Telegram, Facebook, Cash App, Zelle, what is CDCR, what's the Board of Prisons, what's a Happy Card, and so on and so forth. Then it says the SFV Criminal Enterprise is a white criminal street gang primarily located in San Fernando Valley and is alternatively known as the San Fernando Valley Peckerwoods, SFV, and or SFV Peckerwoods. Peckerwoods also have factions in cities and communities such as Chatworth, Granada Hills, Canoga Park, Tahunga, I think is how you say it, North Hollywood, Burbank, Reseda, man, shout out Karate Kid, Reseda, and Tarzana. Peckerwoods have factions everywhere. And I don't pretend to know the intricacies of white gang identity and that kind of stuff in California. I know a little bit, right? But my understanding, and I'm sure you guys will correct me if I'm wrong, especially given who I'm talking about, and I welcome it. I'll tell you this, man. When I was in prison and I seen a dude and I called him a wood, or if I was talking about somebody, I was like, oh, the woods over there or the woods over there. In my mind, I wasn't using the word woods to reference a gang, a criminal street gang, or anything else. It's just a term for white guys in prison, right? And are some of those white guys clicked up or with the shenanigans or whatever? Sure, that's that's their own business. But this idea of they have factions in all these cities, it's a common name. That's like saying, oh, Norteños call each other homie. Homies have factions in all these places. But yeah, because they use the word homie everywhere, right? Or sureños or whatever. The name Peckerwoods was originally a derogatory term for white people developed in the prison system that has since been adopted by white supremacist groups themselves. Presently, a Peckerwood or wood is what a white inmate is known as in prison. Right, any white inmate in the California Department of Corrections from the outside. Now, internally, I understand that within the woods, they kind of sometimes make distinctions amongst white inmates, right? Like there's some that are with the activities, or some that are kind of lame or whatever the case may be. So they may not confer that name. I've heard Splinter talk about it, actually, right? Shout out Splinter. He's talked about how, not every white inmate is entitled to be called a wood from his point of view. And so I guess that kind of makes sense. But from an outside point of view, right? From outside the wood pile, so to speak, all the white guys are called woods. It is a name for a white inmate in the California Department of Corrections. Peckerwoods used a symbol of a woodpecker to represent their Peckerwood status, as depicted below. Look, man, not everybody with a woody woodpecker is part of a sophisticated criminal conspiracy. SFV members often refer to the SFV as the family or car and refer to fellow SFV members as brothers. So this comes from fucking Facebook messages, right? And I'm going to show you guys. But it works its way into this federal indictment in such a way as if this is the script. This is the formal constitution of SFV members. That's not how it works in California, right? The leaders of the SFV criminal enterprise are often referred to as key holders or having the keys to the car. A gang of people in prison refer to having the keys to, hey, who got the keys to them dudes? Again, that's not sophisticated criminal conspiracy. That's prison politics. And it's interesting because I often complain. Oh, let me scroll this up so you guys can read it better. I'm sorry. I'm reading it on my side screen and this one. So I often complain, as do other YouTubers, about people in the streets adopting prison language and applying it out here in ways that don't really work, or in ways that muddy up the definitions of these things, and make it sound like something other than it is, or make it sound like it applies in ways other than what it does. Female Peckerwoods are known as Featherwoods. Man, and hey, shout out MySpace. Because I think I seen this on somebody's MySpace profile when I first came home from prison. And now it's making its way into federal indictments. The letters SFV are the most popular tattoo by SFV Peckerwoods, as well as the 818 area code. SFV is a common tattoo for anybody from the San Fernando Valley. I've seen Southsiders with SFV. I've seen Woods with SFV. I'm willing to bet that there's Woods from SFV that are not a part of some criminal conspiracy to traffic in drugs. Same thing, 818. The name variations, Peckerwood Gangsters, PWG, is often attached or identified within relation to SFV Peckerwoods. Remember that. In addition to SFV referring to the geographic location of San Fernando Valley, SFV members also use the letters to refer to the acronym Searching for Victims. That's kind of cute, actually. I didn't know about that one, but that's creative. But again, it's people often refer to SF as the initials for San Francisco, but also sucker free. Oh, the gang relatedness of it all. SFV often demonstrate their membership in SFV through tattoos such as those depicted below. See, do you see how they criminalize things that aren't criminal? Right? Oh, this reflects membership in something. Does it? Thought it reflects that he's from the San Fernando Valley. And I'm not saying, I don't know who this is, of course, but I'm not saying an individual is or isn't a member. But just the SFV tattoo, is that all it takes? Really? That's all? This is literally a vector stock image. Look at this, vector stock. It's a stock image. But it's supposed to reflect something sophisticated? The Peckerwoods, here's where it gets. Here's the racial stuff. The Peckerwoods support white nationalist ideas and use symbols like the swastikas and 8-8, the white supremacist numerical code for Hail Hitler. SFV members often demonstrate their support for SFV's ideology through tattoos, clothing, and other items bearing the swastika, such as in the pictures below. Okay, I don't subscribe to this belief system. You won't catch me with this shit in my house or these tattoos on my body or anything else, right? But to be indicted over things like this, and I am a critic of white supremacist ideology. Don't get it twisted. But I also work in defense of people, man, and I think the system I know that the system exaggerates and criminalizes non-criminal activity to paint a narrative about people. There's nothing in this case. Reflects anything having to do with white nationalist ideas. Besides perhaps some of the tattoos and flags and other shit that they find in people's houses. Nobody is charged with a hate crime. Nobody is charged with planning anything. Now, there was another recent federal indictment coming out of California that got no attention, in which they indicted 2 people for, and I'm going to do a video probably on that too, but they indicted 2 people in this Telegram app where they were in fact inciting racial violence, and there was racial violence in other parts of the world that was committed, and like that's a different story. That is white supremacist ideology shit, mass attacks and that kind of stuff. Yes, this is hustling. This is gangbanging, right? Essentially, you got Bloods, you got Crips, you got Northerners, you got Southerners, you got the Woods. This is how a lot of the Woods gangbang, and I'm not promoting it or condoning it any more than I promote or condone any of that stuff. But again, I'm very critical of white supremacist ideology, but let's not get too carried away here. In 2016, right? 2016, 8 years ago, a house was raided. This was a nuisance shit. It was a nuisance house. Okay. Photographs from inside one of the residents that was the subject of the filing show swastikas and Confederate flags adorning the walls, as well as an SFV symbol as depicted below. Now, do I want to see that shit outside my neighbor's house? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But again, should they be indicted by the federal government for it? I don't think so. Most defendants and unindicted co-conspirators identified in this indictment have one or more personal Facebook profiles and have used Facebook Messenger to engage in drug trafficking, fraud, witness intimidation, and or to plot details of future criminal activity. So this indictment says it goes back to like 2016, right? I'm going to show you how it goes back to 2016. The Facebook group, SFV Facebook page, started in 2013, okay? They say, oh, they're white supremacist gang and they have links to the Aryan Brotherhood. And then here we go. You can't forget this boogeyman. The AB has an alliance with the Mexican mafia, right? And because of the alliance the AB has, some people are taxed, some people aren't. Wow. Just enriching members and associates of the SFV through, among other things, control of participation in trafficking and controlled substances, commission of financial frauds. So this is what the purpose of the enterprise is, right? Maintaining control over their territory, preserving, protecting, and expanding the power of them, violently retaliating against rival gang members or perceived outsiders who challenge their authority. Nothing about the purpose of the enterprise is this white ethno-nationalist state that the media would have you believe these individuals were involved in. The purpose of this enterprise is to cash out, to get money, to defraud the government, defraud other people, sell drugs, make money, collect guns, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Again, remember I told you I'm not going to go through this whole thing. This video is going to be done in just a few minutes. But They communicate through social media, share information. Look how dangerous this sounds, but then look at the reality. Among other things, trafficking and controlled substances, committing fraud, rules of the SFB, identifying SFB members in good standing, and targeting people who broke the rules. Such social media use includes both the SFB members-only Facebook group and private DMs between members and associates. Again, they view it as a criminal enterprise, so they're looking at the people employed and associated with, and that's where what's his name comes in, Badger, right? So I'm skipping through all this. Look at overt act number 1. In 2016, defendant Brewer posted this screenshot to the Facebook page along with the comment, "Uh-oh, that's an overt act of a fucking criminal conspiracy to post a screenshot of a local LA news station saying, hey, we raided some houses for some nuisance violations in 2016? Overt act number 2. In response to that, somebody posted this comment, literally laughed out loud. Catch me if you can, motherfuckers. I stay riding dirty, stay with a warrant. This is risky. I'm a proud fucking member of SFB PWG. Can't stop me if you can't catch me. Fuck them. It's only a gang if you're not in it. I hear you, man. It's my family, and I'll fucking laugh at this because we were stopping shit, and they've had a hell of a loss coming if they think they could stop us. No, I kept this here for a reason. I want to show you. Oh, shit. I got to remember to show you guys on screen. My bad. This is what it just said. That's what I just read you. So I leave this here for a reason. It's my family. Boom. Remember earlier they said, hey, members of this gang often call themselves family. This is a fucking dude posting a comment in a private Facebook group on a picture from a news article, right? But they will take this language and be like, this is how they get down right here. This is how they get down. So that's overt act number 1 and 2 are in 2016, a couple days apart, December 2016, about a damn news article. Overt act number 3 jumped to months later to 2017. And it's a dude saying, let's do a roll call. I'm in Lancaster, but I still rep San Fernando Valley. Okay. That's 2017. And it's just Facebook messages. Just Facebook messages. Right? Not criminal shit, not selling drugs, just posting in a fucking Facebook group randomly. 2017, 2018, there's nothing. 2019, there's nothing. From overt act 9 on July 9th, 2017 to overt act 10 on May 12th, 2020. Now there's a coded messages saying, hey, bro, I'm talking about I'm gonna buy some drugs. That's it. Right? Fast forward a little bit. Later on in 2020, brothers and sisters, in fact, I have to say this is all bullshit. JJ is out bad. If any of you post anything in support of Black Lives Matter like JJ did, I will personally cut your fucking letters off you. SFB cowboy. This right here is an overt act, right? So it's included in a federal indictment. It's a comment on a Facebook page, a private Facebook group. This is the whole thing of monitoring individuals and are they in good standing with the gang and retaliating against members in the gang because members of the gang not breaking, not keeping with the rules. Because some dude posted apparently something in support of BLM, and not surprisingly, the folks in this group aren't a big fan of it. That's fine. That's political talk. That's should be protected by the by the Constitution. But regardless, that's political talk. It's a private group. It is what it is. Some are gonna agree. Some are gonna disagree. It really doesn't fucking matter for the purposes of this situation. Like, come on, bro, really? But this is the kind of stuff that they will use, right? In a federal indictment to show that, man, y'all are some criminals. And then in response to that, somebody says, I wish all the blacks and all the cops would just kill all of each other. Our side of the day room only. If that's all that was left in the world, that would be awesome. I don't agree with that perspective. Okay? I don't. And that should not become as a surprise. So I don't support that narrative. That's not my message. Does that comment on a Facebook page Is that substance in an indictment towards 60 some odd people as a part of a white supremacy organization? Again, there's nothing in here that suggests they hurt anybody. They busted a move on anybody. They plotted on anybody. They sold drugs and stole socials. Sold drugs, stole socials. Good Lord, say that 10 times. And took advantage of all the COVID money. So let's just look at it in context. And it's ridiculous, just ridiculous. But all this stuff, and then of course people posting the pictures. Like, I don't know when people are gonna learn. Stop posting the damn pictures to these groups. You will get caught. Look at this. This is an overt act in a conspiracy. The caption said "bang bang" on December 11, 2020, and they posted this picture. Just this. A dude looked like Woody Woodpecker with Peckerwood on a shirt, SFV, some skulls. Would I hang it on my fridge? No. Do I think it's a crime? No. But this is how this stuff works. This video is getting long. I don't want to keep going with it because I'm concerned already that you guys aren't going to watch the whole thing. Let me know if you want me to kind of dive more into this or more into these indictments. This case is going to play out how it plays out, but the federal government is not playing. What are the lessons here? Watch the shit that you talk about on social media. Watch the comments that you leave. Watch the messages you have with people. They can seem harmless. You can look at it in a vacuum and be like, hey, this is this, that's that. The government, though, is looking for it. And all these messages, in closing, the feds haven't been watching the San Fernando Valley Peckerwoods since fucking 2016. What the feds did is start watching them probably about a year ago, got into their phones, got a subpoena from Facebook, or probably just got into various people's fucking phones, right? Seized phones in prison, phones from people that are cooperating, whatever the case may be, and went and scrolled. Oh, look at it. Screenshot. Man, how far back can I go in these screenshots? Oh shit, look at this. Look at this. And then frame it as, well, for the last fucking 10 years, look what these guys have been doing. You just spied on somebody's social media account for the last 8 years. That's what it is. There's no CIs or nothing else until much more recently. It's all recorded. It's all messages. It's all shit that people had left in their phones talking about stuff. I guarantee for years of this quote unquote criminal activity, there's no physical evidence. But there's pictures of dope. There's pictures of guns. They don't have these guns now. They can't find these guns now. They can't find this dope now. They didn't know anybody was selling these drugs in 2021. The only reason they know is because there's damn messages from people talking about the drugs that they were supposedly selling in 2021. And then they take all these people in the group and they go look through their pages and they go look through this. And they got all these indictments that they're doing. Some of these unindicted co-conspirators, I can tell you for a fact, are the same cats that were indicted in the most recent Aryan Brotherhood conspiracy. Some of them are people that flipped in it, like Waylon Pitchford and others. I haven't been able to specifically figure out who each of them are. That's why I'm not attaching their name saying unindicted person this is that person or that person. I'll bet you the folks sitting in detention right now are looking through that and can figure it out a lot faster than me. But even some of that I can tell. But I won't go through that unless I'm absolutely sure. So, and again, it's a 45-minute video, which is kind of insane. But there you have it, man. It's a fucking scam, Holmes. It's a public relations thing, and it's a scam. And is selling drugs wrong? Yes. And are there consequences for selling drugs? Yes. And so I'm not saying all these guys are angels by any stretch. And I'm not saying that none of these people are racist or hold views. I don't know them personally. Right? What I am saying is this narrative that's being pushed in the headlines is not supported in the actual indictment. Like, all these news organizations have this same indictment. They've read the same fucking thing. But what they come up with in their headlines is radically different than this. And it's because of how the feds painted it, the press release and everything else, and the Aryan Brotherhood and the Mexican Mafia. And they're all, look at the swastikas, look at the 88, look at this. And this is Woods selling dope and gangbanging, Holmes. You know what I mean? And not even really gangbang, just, I don't know. You guys let me know what you think in the comments, man. Help others move in excellence. That's what homies do. Help yourself at the same time because you're worth it. Help your community because they need you. And, free OG Badger sooner rather than later, man. I would love to see that dude back on YouTube, healthy and sober and making good content. He started doing prison stories and he popped. And he popped by going on channels with black dudes and everything else, so you can miss me with all the crazy racist shit, when it comes to him. In prison, you get down how you get down. But maybe that'll be another video. Let me cut this shit short, man. Help others move in excellence. That's what homies do. Be careful what you say and do, man. The feds are watching.